Okay, so welcome to this week's Ask the Don, where we try and answer your skills related questions sent in to our Twitter and Facebook with the hashtag Ask the Don. What we got this week, Mark?
Well, the first one comes from James Todman, and he says, I have an 11-year-old son, and after a few crashes he has lost his confidence. Any tips on gaining it back? It's very frustrating for us. Clearly a motocross dad.
Yeah, very pushy dad. Confidence is a big one for everyone. I would say just try and go back a step, try and have some fun on the bike, spend a bit of time riding, and actually maybe try and work on where you're losing confidence, maybe what skills need, scrubbing up a little bit.
I think one good thing to do is, if you've had a crash, for example, go to a trail that you know really well, and one that you know inside out, you can ride it well, and then that way you'll build your confidence back up, and then you can go and progress back to the obstacle that you had a problem with.
Yeah, so concentrate on the fun factor and then try and work out why you maybe crashed. This one came in via @GMBN tweet, and Matt Weir says, I've been told to corner level feet, but you say to have 1 foot down. Which is the best? Well, they're both used in different occasions actually, so neither of those things are wrong. In this corner, it's really good to drop your outside foot because it's really hard pack, it's slippy and it's quite fast. So dropping your outside foot will get your centre of gravity nice and low, and you should find a good amount of grip. On this corner, where there's a lot of grip and there's a big berm, I actually just drop my outside foot a little bit so that I'm not committing all my weight to that 1 foot, and I can get back up and drop my other foot because the left-hand corner just after it.
In this situation, there is no right and wrong, and I prefer to drop the whole way so I know I get the maximum grip and drive me out of that corner.
In this case, Mark doesn't actually drop his outside foot. That's because we've got a bit of a steep run in to a corner in a gully where he hits the edge of the gully. He wants to control his weight on 2 feet and not all through 1 foot. And also the outside foot could clip the edge of that rut.
Our next Ask the Don comes from Johan Osseroff, and he says, I'm having issues trying to manual on my XC bike. Is it because it has a steeper head angle, or do I simply need to keep working on the L shape?
Yeah, the L shape is something I talk about a lot with manuals. So getting your hips to do that L shape, to use your weight to lift the front wheel. The thing that makes it harder on a cross-country bike is the fixed saddle. So you've got less space to move your hips around. So you have to rely on more of a slide of the hips back, and the arms lock the same, so the bar should come back with you. But really it's that seat in the way. So I would say practice with its seat out of the way, nice and low, get used to the L shape, and hopefully you'll get your hips moving around a lot. Of course, I've got a really short stem on this bike, which does help a little bit, but really it's that seat that really restricts you. But you can do it, you just have to get better at moving your weight to the back of the bike.
So you have to move your weight behind the seat, down, and then back. Is that fair?
Yeah. Back here. It's all about the hips.
So the next one, Neil, comes from Daniel Hocking, and he says,
David Hocking?
No, it's Daniel.
Oh, sorry.
So the next one, Neil, comes from Daniel Hocking, and he says, I can ride rock gardens on downhills, but have trouble pedaling through flat rock gardens with any speed. I bump and bounce and lose traction, resulting in just spinning my pedals and going nowhere fast. Any suggestions, or is it just picking the same lines I have?
Picking better lines does help. Full suspension bikes will obviously help on this. Fat tyres help on this as well, but what I look for, try and look for spots where I can really find momentum. So bits that I can pedal through and sprint as hard as I can, and then look for areas where I don't want to pedal, it's too risky. So in those little bits where you can make speed, pedal hard, push a bigger gear so you're not chopping your pedals next to the rocks quite so much and you're pushing more consistent power. But you're also probably going to have to try and unweight whilst you're pedaling over those worst of the edges so you don't smash into those edges and slow down and get bounced all over the place.
Another good point is when you approach a rock section, try and look ahead down the trail and almost figure out before you get there where you might be able to get a pedal stroke in to maintain your speed.
Good bunny hop technique so you can slightly unweight over things as well, really important. Tom Carroll's been on, he asks, any tips on which parts on a cross-country bike should be first in line for upgrades?
Well, Tom, with your cross-country bike, it really depends what you're trying to achieve. Are you cross-country racing on that bike? If that's the case, I would go down changing the wheels because that's the best way to save weight on your bike. If you're doing more of a trail ride and all day kind of rides, perhaps look to put a shorter stem, a wider bar, or even a riser bar to give you a little bit more control on longer descents.
Yeah, so definitely consider setup first, and then components wise, wheels, brakes and suspension. I guess not forgetting tyres would be my first upgrades, I think.
Yeah, tyres will absolutely transform any bike, whether you make it XC tyres on an enduro bike or vice versa.
There you go for this edition of Ask the Don. Don't forget, you can always ask us questions on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or even in the comments down below.
And if your question hasn't been answered in this particular episode, don't forget to check out the other Ask the Dons, which you can get to by clicking up here.
And if you click down there, you can get to the latest Dirt Shed show. So check out all our videos.
And don't forget, click on me and Neil to subscribe to the channel, and you'll never miss a video.